Hello everyone, and a special hello to Orange class. It's ages since I've seen you all and spoken to you all, so I'm really missing you guys a lot. Although I have to say I have been on the website and seen some amazing work that you have all been doing. I am so proud of all of you. Definitely making a huge effort, so well done everybody. Today I'm going to be reading a book, and I actually pinched it from my daughter's bookshelf in her bedroom. So I hope you like it. And it's called Fantastic Mr. Fox. It is written by Roald Dahl and illustrated by Quentin Blake. And I love this book, so I hope you love it too. I will only read a couple of chapters because it's quite a long book. 18 chapters in all. Anyway, I'm going to read a couple and see how far we get, and then I will carry on with my next video and carry on. So the characters in this book are, I don't know if you can see, Mr. Fox, Mrs. Fox, the small foxes, Badger, Boggis, Bean and Bunce. So they're all the characters in the book, and you will hear them as I read them. So here we go. Chapter 1. The Three Farmers. I'm just going to show you a picture of the three farmers. There we go. Down in the valley there were three farmers. The owners of these farms had done well. They were rich men. They were also nasty men. All three of them were about as nasty and as mean as any of the men you could meet. Their names were Farmer Boggis, Farmer Bunce, and Farmer Bean. Boggis was a chicken farmer. He kept thousands of chickens. He was enormously fat. This was because he ate 3 boiled chickens smothered with dumplings every day for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Here he is. Bunce was a duck and goose farmer. He kept thousands of ducks and geese. He was a kind of pot-bellied dwarf. He was so short his chin would have been underwater in the shallow end of any swimming pool in the world. His food was donuts and goose livers. He mashed the livers into disgusting paste and then stuffed the paste into the donuts. His diet gave him a tummy ache and a beastly temper. I'm not surprised. There he is. Bean was a turkey and apple farmer. He kept thousands of turkey in an orchard full of apple trees. He never ate any food at all. Instead, he drank gallons of strong cider, which he made from apples in his orchard. He was as thin as a pencil and the cleverest of them all. Here he is, drinking. Boggis and Bounce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, so different in looks, were none the less equally mean. That is what the children round about used to sing when they saw them. There they are. Ooh, chapter 2. Mr. Fox. Here he is. On a hill above the valley there was a wood. In the wood there was a huge tree, and under the tree there was a hole. In the hole lived Mr. Fox and Mrs. Fox and their 4 small foxes. Every evening, as soon as it got dark, Mr. Fox would say to Mrs. Fox, "Well, my darling, what shall it be this time? A plump chicken from Boggis? A duck or a goose from Bunce? Or a nice turkey from Bean?" And when Mrs. Fox had told him what she wanted, Mr. Fox would creep down into the valley in the darkness of the night and help himself. Boggis and Bunce and Bean knew very well what was going on, and it made them wild with rage. They were not men who liked to give anything away. Less still did they like anything to be stolen from them. So every night each of them would take his shotgun and hide it in a dark place, somewhere on his own farm, hoping to catch the robber. But Mr. Fox was too clever for them. He always approached the farm with the wind blowing in his face, and this meant that if any man were lurking in the shadows ahead, the wind would carry the smell of that man to Mr. Fox's nose from far away. Thus, if Mr. Boggis was hiding behind his chicken house number 1, Mr. Fox would smell him out from 50 yards off and quickly change direction, heading for the chicken house number 4 at the other end of the farm. Clever fox. There he is, getting a whiff. "Dang and blast those lousy beasts," cried Boggis. "I'd like to rip his guts out," said Bounce. "He must be killed," cried Bean. "But how?" cried Boggis. "How on earth can we catch the blighter?" Bean picked his nose delicately with a long finger. "I have a plan," he said. You've never had a decent plan," said Bunce. "Shut up and listen," said Bean. "Tomorrow night we will all hide just outside the hole where the fox lives. We will wait until he comes out. Then, bang, 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 bang." "Very clever," said Bounce. But first we shall have to find a hole." "My dear Bunce, I've already found it," said the crafty Bean. "It's up in the wood on the hill. It's under a huge tree." Chapter 3. The Shooting. "Well, my darling," said Mr. Fox, "what shall it be tonight?" "I think we'll have duck tonight," said Mrs. Fox. "Bring us 2 fat ducks, if you please. 1 for you and me and 1 for the children." "Ducks it shall be," said Mr. Fox. "Bunce's best." "Now do be careful," said Mrs. Fox. "My darling," said Mr. Fox, "I can smell those goons a mile away, and I can even smell one from the other. Boggis gives off a filthy stink of rotten chicken skins. Bunce reeks of goose liver, and for Bean, the fumes of apple cider hanging around him like poisonous gases." "Yes, but just don't get careless," said Mrs. Fox. "You know they'll be waiting for you, all 3 of them." "Don't you worry about me," said Mr. Fox. "I'll see you later." But Mr. Fox would not have been quite so cocky had he known exactly where the 3 farmers were waiting at the moment. They were just outside the entrance to the hall, each one crouching behind a tree with a gun loaded. And what is more, they had chosen their positions very carefully, making sure that the wind was not blowing from one towards the foxhole. In fact, it was blowing in the opposite direction. There was no chance of them being smelt out. Mr. Fox crept up in the dark tunnel to the mouth of the hole. He poked his long, handsome face into the night air and sniffed once. He moved an inch or 2 forward and stopped. He sniffed again. He was always especially careful when coming out from his hole. He inched forward a little more. The front half of his body was now in the open. His black nose twitched from one side to side. Sniffing and sniffing for the scent of danger, he found none, and he was just about to go trotting forward into the wood when he heard, or he thought he heard, a tiny noise, a soft rustling sound, as though someone had moved a foot ever so gently through the patch of dry leaves. Mr. Fox flattened his body against the ground and laid very still, his ears pricked. He waited for a long time, but he heard nothing more. Must have been a field mouse, he told himself, or some other small animal. He crept a little further out the hole, then further still. He was almost right out in the open now. He took a last careful look around. The wood was murky and very still. Somewhere in the sky the moon was shining. Just then, his sharp night eyes caught a glint of something bright behind a tree not far away. It was a small silver speck of moonlight shining on a polished surface. Mr. Fox lay still, watching it. What on earth was it? Now it was moving. It was coming up and up. Great heavens! It was the barrel of a gun. Quick as a whip, Mr. Fox jumped back into his hole, and at the same instant, the entire wood seemed to explode around him. Bang, 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 bang! The smoke from the 3 guns floated upwards in the night air. Boggis and Bunce and Bean came out from behind their trees and walked towards the hole. "Did we get him?" said Bean. One of them shone a flashlight in the hole, and there on the ground, in the circle of light, half in, half out the hole, lay poor, tattered, blood-stained remains of a fox's tail. Mr. Bean picked it up. "We've got the tail, but we missed the fox," he said, tossing the thing away. Here we go. Poor Mr. Fox. Bet that hurt. "Dang, blast it," said Boggis. "We shot too late. We should have let fly the moment he poked his head out." "He won't be poking it out again in a hurry," Bunce said. Bean pulled a flask from his pocket and took a swig of cider. Then he said, "It'll take 3 days at least before he gets hungry enough to come out again. I'm not sitting around here waiting for that. Let's dig him out." "Ah," said Boggis, "now you're talking sense. We can dig him out in a couple of hours. We know he's there. I reckon there's a whole family of them down that hole," Bunce said. "Then we'll have to get the lot," said Bean. "Get the shovels." And there he is. So they're going to be off to get the shovels. I'm going to leave it for now on chapter 4. And I will read the story again to you soon. In the meantime, take care, look after one another, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.